All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, family, and we understand that we are here to take part in Yahweh's Feast of Weeks, what the world has termed Pentecost. And the world has a tendency to put things in a way that is more favorable to them doing their thing, because most people know the term Pentecost. It is not understood that this is one of those 7 holy days that Yahweh has set aside, that these things are written in the Old Testament, because we hear the Greek term of penta, which means 50. This is the term that people use. And we have to understand the power of a name change. It is the same thing that we have gone through with our God, King, High Priest, Yahshua. Having that name transliterated, and outright changed to Jesus ends up giving us a different entity with a different culture, with a all different worship practice altogether. And all of that takes place with the changing of a name. We read earlier how in Acts and in Hebrews, where they were talking about Joshua, and they threw in Jesus. And we know that 2 times that mistake was made, and Yahweh welcomed the mistake, because it's through that mistake that we know that the true name is Yahshua. It helps solidify that. These things about us getting back into our culture is bit by bit, piece by piece, little by little, as it is written, here a little, there a little. We're going to begin tonight in Deuteronomy chapter 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 9 through 12.
Verse 9. 7 weeks shall you number unto you. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as you beginneth to put the sickle to the corn. And you shall keep the feast of weeks unto Yahweh your Elohim with a tribute of a freewill offering of your hand, which you shall give unto Yahweh your Elohim, according as Yahweh your El has blessed you.
Right. And because we are so disconnected from growing and planting, it's one of the first things that we wanted to get away from. We didn't want to be associated with any of those things. The more we became educated, the further we got from dealing with things of planting and growing, not really understanding the true value of those things. We ended up with technology jobs and things of that nature, and we wanted to make that money. We don't want to be playing around in the dirt. Then we find out that it is some serious things when you look at the assault that's being made against us. Now the tech man is now buying up all the farmland. There's something seriously sinister about the same individual who wants to get all of us to take some scientific jab, is also now becoming in control of our food sources. So when we look at something like this, we don't even consider just how much of a blessing it is that Yahweh says, okay, I have provided, this food for you. Now bring a portion of it as an offering. We don't consider that. We've taken all of these things for granted, year after year after year. But as we begin to realize that even the stuff that they call organic is frankenfoods, now you go back to the very beginning of what he gave us, and it is worth way more value than we ever thought. But we have to lose something. before we figure out that it has value. A lot of us take for granted the ability to fellowship one with another. But we have people who travel great distances to come and fellowship. And then we have those that just, it doesn't mean that much to them because it's available. But when it's not available, see, that's what makes value change. Supply and demand. Because it has always been supplied to you. You can show up at the door, come in. Eventually, to some people, it has no value. When you start getting stopped at the door, the value gonna go up. Go ahead.
Verse 11, and you shall rejoice before Yahweh your El, you and your son and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahweh your El has chosen to place his name there. And you shall remember that you was a bondman in Egypt, and you shall observe and do these statutes. You
shall remember that you were a bondman. Okay, so Yahweh has set forth, these are things that you have to do. You make an appearance before him. We show that honor unto Yahweh, our Elohim. Let's go to Acts chapter 2. And we have gone in the past weeks going over all of these things. So if there's anyone who's tuning in who does not understand what Feast of Weeks or Pentecost is about, back up to the last two Bible studies. One is called Understanding the Feast of Weeks. See, when we get to certain things, it's not time for you to try to figure out what it means on the day you're there. You can't figure out how to fight on the day of the championship match. You better figure out how to fight before that day. That ain't the day to figure out, I wonder if I can take a punch. Somebody should have punched you before that day. You should have paid somebody to hit me. Here go $20. Hit me. Your first time getting hit should not be the day you got a scheduled fight. Acts chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
And when the day of Pentecost was fully come.
And this is what the world knows. But you have to wonder, because here it is called Pentecost, what kind of understanding do any of these individuals who are going to gather together in a couple of hours to keep their Sunday morning Pentecost, what do they even know about Pentecost? What do they know about the Feast of Weeks? What do they know about what really goes on there? Because what ends up happening is now this has been turned into a trivial thing. And it's one thing when the people who lack understanding do it, because they know not what they do. They are being taught by individuals who are not really trying to teach them that. Believe you me, the pastors understand what this is, but they're not going to mention the term Feast of Weeks. But when we have understanding and then begin to make it a trivial thing, now that makes our sin exceedingly sinful. Go ahead.
They were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. Mm-hmm. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them.
When you listen to verse 2, and there suddenly came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind. When it describes the things of the Spirit, it says you may hear the wind, but you know not from whence it came and where it's going. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. This is the coming in of the Spirit. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. Now, if you don't understand verse 1, and when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. What is the one accord? See, the New Testament doesn't tell you that. The one accord is what we just read in Deuteronomy 16. All males must make an appearance 3 times in the year before Yahweh their Elohim. This don't tell you that. They're gathering, but they don't know what they're gathering for. They were all in one accord in one place. That means they got the same mindset. They understand why they are there. Go ahead.
And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other languages as the Spirit gave them utterance.
Now, this is why some people are going to show up in a few hours to gather together. Because now this indwelling of the Spirit has now been turned into this trivial thing to make people of a show that they have the Spirit. Don't understand what the one accord is, and it's not their fault that they don't understand it, because somebody was supposed to teach that to them. Somebody who they pay great amounts of money have decided that they're not going to teach them what that one accord is. Go ahead.
And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Yehudis, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Now when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language.
This is what the gift is about. About all of these people born in all these different places. If you just look out on the earth, our people are scattered everywhere. We're not just here in America. We're not just in South America. We are everywhere. And when all those people gather together, guess what language they're going to speak? Whatever language up where they were born. See, we think that we can go and study and learn all of these things about Hebrew, and then it cuts out the need for the Spirit. You're sadly mistaken. All these people spread across the globe don't speak Hebrew. That's not going to help us when this goes down. You're going to need the Spirit. Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own language, wherein we were born? Parthians and Medes, and Elamites, and the dwellers in Mesopotamia, and in Judea and Cappadocia, in Pontus and Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, in Egypt, and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Yehudis and proselytes.
Converts. Go ahead.
Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our language the wonderful works of Elohim.
So then that is the purpose of this gift. So that all of these individuals who are gathering together to make their appearance can communicate with one another. Imagine how enormous that gathering is going to be when this goes down in righteousness. And what we have are individuals from other parts of the country. Imagine when we do this and it's people from other parts of the world all gathered together on one accord for the same thing, and they understand why they're there. Go ahead.
And they were all amazed and were in doubt, saying one to another, What meaneth this? Others mocking said, These men are full of new wine.
Right. They believe that they must be drunk. All of these different languages are being spoken, yet they understand one another. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. See, one of the things that we have to understand is that the Spirit does things out of necessity. What we want the Spirit to do are things out of our own fleshly glorification. As it is written, you ask, but you ask amiss, that you may consume it upon your own lustful flesh. That's why you don't receive, because you're not asking for the right reasons. So nowadays we have people or churches who have classes on how to speak in tongues. How is that even a thing? So a lot of this is about to go down in a couple of hours. We don't understand how blessed we are. You don't understand, there are parts that you may read in the book when it says, you are poor, but you're rich. You don't really understand just how rich we are. You know how many people falling over these simple things, selling their soul for nothing at all. Worse than a bowl of lentils. First Corinthians chapter 14, and let's start this at verse 1.
Follow after love and desire spiritual gifts, but rather that you may prophesy. For he that speaks in an unknown language speaks not unto men, but unto Elohim. For no man understands him, howbeit in the spirit he speaks mysteries. But he that prophesieth speaks unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort.
Right. If nobody understands what you're saying, how is it edifying? Go ahead.
He that speaks in an unknown language edifies himself, but he that prophesies edifies the church.
Mm-hmm.
I would that you all spake with languages, but rather that you prophesied. But rather that you prophesied. For greater is he that prophesies than he that speaks in languages, except he interpret, that the church may receive edifying.
Right. And when we watch these so-called spectacles of tongue speaking, not once was there a translator that stepped beside and said, okay, what he said was this. They utter out some words and everybody starts shouting and dancing. According to the very New Testament that they read, it says there's supposed to be a translator. Who's translating that goo gobbledygoo? Somebody's supposed to be explaining what this is. But once again, we teach people how to rule over us. And this is what we've taught them. Go ahead.
Now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with languages, what shall I profit you, except I shall speak to you either by revelation, or by knowledge, or by prophesying, or by doctrine? And even things without life-giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sounds, how shall it be known what is piped or harp?
Right. And in music, they have notes. You singing, there's a note. You sing something wrong, they're going to take that ain't the right note. I don't know what that is, but that's not it. You didn't hit that right note. Go ahead.
For if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle?
Uh-huh.
So likewise you, except you utter by the language words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For you shall speak into the ear.
Right. But understand how much money is about to be gathered in a few hours while goo gobbledygoo is thrown in the air. No explanation about any of those things. But why is that possible? How is it that a bunch of people who have masters and PhDs, how is that possible? It's because we don't want to know. That's what we want. Go ahead.
There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. Therefore, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaks a barbarian, and he that speaks shall be a barbarian unto me. Even so you, for as much as you are zealous of spiritual gifts, seek that you may excel to the edifying of the church. Wherefore let him that speaks in an unknown language pray that he may interpret. For if I pray in an unknown language, My spirit prayeth, but my understanding is unfruitful. What is it then? I will pray with the spirit, and I will pray with the understanding also. I will sing with the spirit, and I will sing with the understanding also. Else when you shall bless with the spirit, how shall he that occupies the room of the unlearned say amen at your giving of thanks?
Amen is saying that you agree. That means that you put your spiritual signature on the things that were said. How can you agree to that if you don't know what was said? If we get up here and we get ready to pray, and instead of praying in the language that y'all understand, I pray in the language that me and Gish practice. They used to call it, that street, that pig, like, Esaac, what? I'm not amen. What do you say? Now, we can understand that when it comes to business. Because we ain't signing no contract that we don't like. When somebody just offer us a blank piece of paper and say, sign this, man, I ain't signing it. Do you not understand that saying amen is your spiritual signature? Why would you agree to something that you don't understand? Go ahead.
Seeing he understands not what you saith. For you verily give thanks well, but the other is not edified. I thank my Elohim, I speak with languages more than you all. Yet in the church I had rather speak 5 words with my understanding, that by my voice I might teach others also, than 10,000 words in an unknown language.
But see, these are the things that people like. Now, this is why Saul was perfect for this job, as he has to go through these areas where the Euro-Gentiles are. He has dual citizenship and can speak these other languages. He's got papers to go along with this. Go ahead.
Brethren, be not children in understanding. Howbeit in malice, be you children, but in understanding, be men. In the law it is written, with men of other languages and other lips will I speak unto this people, and yet for all that will they not hear me, said the Adonai.
We really need to hone in on that, because we think that, and I understand we have all of these things that we do word studies, we make sure that we go in Strong's, we can do all of this so that we can get a deeper understanding of Yahweh's word. And understanding the meaning of words absolutely grows in that you're learning. But let me tell you one thing that he has made sure of. You don't need Strong's or Hebrew to understand them 10 commandments. You know exactly what adultery means. You know exactly what bearing false witness is. You know exactly what fornication is. The things that are going to count towards your salvation, he makes sure you know that. We can get off into it and get deeper in some other things. But the things concerning your salvation, you ain't got to go to the mountaintop to figure it out. You got to go to the mountaintop in your heart to work it out inside of you. But you ain't got to go to the mountaintop to understand it. Go ahead.
Wherefore languages are for a sign, not to them that believe, but to them that believe not.
Right. It's for non-believers. But what does it say? The Gentiles seek after wisdom. The Jews require a sign. We teach them people how to rule over us. They find out when they do this goo goblet goo, we throwing money on the table. See, that's us that want that miracle. What they say, make us gods. Because we don't know what happened to this Moshe. He been gone for a while. Give us the gods of Egypt so we feel comfortable. We need to see something. A little over a month and we've forgotten everything that we just saw. One moon. Go ahead.
But prophesying serves not for them that believe not, but for them which believe. If therefore the whole church be come together into one place, and all speak with languages, and there come in those that are unlearned or unbelievers, will they not say that you are mad? But if all prophesy, and there come in one that believes not, or one unlearned, he is convinced of all, he is judged of all. And thus are the secrets of his heart made manifest. And so falling down on his face, he will worship Elohim, and report that Elohim is in you of a truth. How is it then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you has a psalm, has a doctrine, has a language, has a revelation, has an interpretation? Let all things be done unto edifying.
Right. But see, everybody has all these things, but they don't jump up at once. What they do is, pull somebody aside and tell them their revelation. Then they pull somebody else aside and tell them what they got going on. Absolutely out of order. Go ahead.
The problem is that people don't ask other people when somebody pull them aside. Say, hold on 1 second. Go to somebody that you know is ahead or something and say, excuse me, that person over there trying to talk to me. How long have they been around?
Right. That'll nip it in the bud. So don't tell me. Tell that old lion that's sitting up front. That'll take care of that business. Then you find out that somebody been doing something for 2-3 months. Where you get that from? You remember that person that came that time with the blue shirt on? That's all you got. The person that came that time with the blue shirt on. And you've been doing this for 2 months. You didn't come ask nobody? Let it be at our job. We're going to get the rank, the name. We've gotten accustomed in the daughter of Babylon. I'm sorry, and what's your name again? Yeah. Oh, we got a little notepad. We jotting it down. I'm sorry, and what's your position? All right. Whoever told us we can show up at 10 o'clock on Friday. Oh, we got their name, what department they work in. But we'll let somebody who we don't know them from a can of paint give us some kind of spiritual instruction. Where you been? Who are you again? Go ahead.
If any man speak in an unknown language, let it be by 2, or at the most by 3, and that by course, and let one interpret. But if there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the church, and let him speak to himself and to Elohim. All
right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 4. So we understand that all of these things are about to be done out of order. But do understand, there's going to be a whole lot of shouting. There's going to be a whole lot of dancing. There's going to be a whole lot of false speaking. And let's just go ahead and be honest about it. All of us who was in it before, you felt what it felt like. It felt, you got that little tingly feeling. It's like that feeling that I used to have when I used to go around, right around Christmas time. We used to go and look at the Christmas lights. We should drive around to certain places and the whole house be lit up, and we just park in front of the house. Because you've tricked your brain. You got that warm and cozy feeling inside. It was all a lie. But you had to help to convince your brain that this was something real. And once you realize it's not, you have to re-educate your mind. And sometimes that don't happen right away. So you know something, you read it, found out, oh my God, this is not right. But then you look over there and see the lights and that warm, cozy feeling come back. Now, you have to get your mind and your heart in alignment. Because your mind knows one thing, but your heart is still connected to the paganism that you grew up with. You got to get those two to meet. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
So I returned and considered all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter. And on the side of their oppressors there was power, but they had no comforter. Wherefore I praise the dead which are already dead more than the living which are yet alive. Yea, better is he than both they which has not yet been, who has not seen the evil work that is done under the sun. Again, I considered all travail and every right work, that for this a man is envied of his neighbor. This is also vanity and vexation of spirit. The fool folds his hands together and eats his own flesh.
The fool will not be there when the work is done. The fool come to partake of the festivities. Go ahead.
Better is an handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit. Then I returned, and I saw vanity under the sun. There is one alone, and there is not a second. Yea, he has neither child nor brother, yet is there no end of all his labor. Neither is his eye satisfied with riches. Neither says he, for whom do I labor, and bereave my soul of good? This is also vanity. Yes, it is a sore travail. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falls, for he is not another to help him up.
See, this is that thing where we do not appreciate having the ability to fellowship one with another. You understand that there are very, very faithful members here who y'all have never seen. They might be the only person in their town. So every last bit of the stuff that we are able to go through together, they have to go through by themselves. And then we haphazardly do the stuff that we do. And we live right down the street. Go ahead.
I mean, we got a brother right now, I think it's 1 a.m. where he's at. He tuning in, trying to wait to make his appearance in a whole nother country.
Right.
Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken.
Right. If I take one twig, I snap it apart. I take the second twig, I can snap it in two. I take that third one, I can snap it in two. They're all separate. Intertwine all three of those. Now it's got strength. Now when I get ready to try to snap it, it ain't breaking so easily. That's the power that we have in fellowship. But if we take that lightly, like it's some trivial thing, that we just fellowship when it becomes, fruitful to something that we want to do, what are we saying to those brothers and sisters who don't have that opportunity? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 10. See, we have to consider something. When we look and we read those things about those talents that were buried in the earth, when we look at the one who had one, the one who was given 2 talents, and the one who was given 5, you have to ask yourself, at what point does Yahweh look and say, no, you the one? What you mean I'm the one? What have you done with what you have? You have to wonder how he's going to look at that. The more you were given, the more he expects out of you. So you have somebody dying and wishing they were sitting in your seat. And you don't really care that much sometimes to even be sitting in the seat. How long you think Yahweh gonna put up with that? Hebrews chapter 10, let's start that at verse 1.
For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he comes into the world, he says, sacrifice and offering you would not, but a body have you prepared me. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you have had no pleasure.
All these are of the law. But he requires something deeper, something more personal. But are we looking for something personal to us? Are we looking for something that's personal to him? Go ahead.
Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, to do thy will, O Elohim. Above when he said, sacrifice and offerings and burnt offerings and offering for sin you would not, neither had pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to do your will, O Elohim. He takes away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahshua HaMashiach once for all. And every priest stands daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Elohim, whom henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he has perfected forever them that are sanctified.
For by one offering he has perfected forever them that are sanctified. This doesn't mean that we have some kind of license to sin because a perfect sacrifice was offered for us. Go ahead.
Whereof the Holy Spirit also is a witness to us. For after that he had said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, says the Adonai. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them.
Now, this is the New Testament. This is the new covenant. The new covenant is that he's going to write his law in our hearts and minds. Yet, most are being taught that the law is nailed to the cross. Yet, we will then proclaim how we are part of the new covenant. And the new covenant itself is talking about his law. And if the law is in your heart and your mind, you don't need a fringe to tell you what you're supposed to be doing. When something is in your heart, your body follows. When somebody has been going to work so long that this person wants to feed their family, when it's in your heart like that, you roll over and turn the clock off before it go off. In the middle of pitch black darkness, your eyes go pop, and you sit up in the bed looking over. Clock, I know it's got to be 4:19. There it is. There. What was that? It's in your heart to do that thing. When it's in your heart to do that thing, these other things are formalities. Yeah, I'm going to set the clock. But I'm going to tap the clock before the clock. Yahweh wonder, well, where's that with me? Where's that with me? Do I have to hunt you down? If that's in your heart. When I roll over, you should have been there. When it's in your heart, ain't nobody got to tell you. There's some women that came out and saw a sticker on their car, and they're like, what is this? Oh, her husband got the oil change. They're like, oh, I didn't know he got the oil change. Yeah, he didn't need it to hear from you. He has already decided you ain't going to take care of that. He has already decided, all right, I'm going to take care of this business. And when me talking to you about it, you'll know when you see the sticker. You might still not know. He might just say, you know what, I'm gonna go around the block. You know when change the oil. That's something that it's just in his heart to do, because he said, no, she done blew up an engine before. See, so it's in there. It's in there. He thinking about that last engine, and he see that smoke. He can see it. He can see it. He look at the new car, and he see the old smoke. Right. Anybody gotta come tell him? It's in there. Go ahead.
Verse 17, and their sins and lawlessness will I remember no more. Now where remission of these is, there's no more offering for sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Yahshua, by a new and living way, which he has consecrated for us through the veil, that is to say, his flesh. And having an high priest over the house of Elohim, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works.
Let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works. What kind of provocation are we offering? Do we provoke one another to good works? Go ahead.
Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together.
Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together. And when we haphazardly deal with something, we're forsaking it. I might gather this time. I might gather next time. Right, we're forsaking the assembly. We forsake it until the day it is no longer offered. My elder used to say, it's going to come a time where you're going to come to that door and the door's locked. Nope, can't let no more in. We fill to capacity. All the latecomers going to then figure out, you know what, I got to get there earlier because they run out of seats. But as long as there's a seat available, say, I can show up 15, 20 minutes late. It's like long-winded, So I catch up on YouTube. But what happened when all that ain't available? Understand something. We're starting to get strange strikes from YouTube that don't exist. They sent an email that said, you got a copyright strike on that song on Revelation 19. There ain't no song on Revelation 19. I don't know what the hell they heard. But when I read Revelation 19, they heard music. Where did that music come from? That they heard imaginary music and gave us a copyright strike for Revelation 19. So what we gonna do today that we get ready to go on MeTube and it ain't on there? And we can't get on. What we gonna do? We forsaken the assembling of ourselves together. Oh, it's available, so I ain't got to worry about it. What we gonna do when all of that start getting shut down? Because when you start getting strikes for reading the scripture, oh, I'm finna get a lot of strikes. You understand what I'm saying to you? This ain't that thing where you gonna sit here for 2 hours and I'm gonna say today's sermon is about Hebrews 4:17. That's not gonna happen. So you can go ahead and plan on these strikes, keep striking. I advise you to put the website in your list of favorites, because these very things that are broadcast are also broadcast on our website. Go ahead, bro.
As the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Verse 26. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remains no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moshe's law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much more sorer punishment, suppose you, shall he be brought worthy, who has trodden underfoot the Son of Elohim?
Right. What do you think that we're doing? That we have been baptized in the name of Yeshua, and then we deal with it haphazardly. You're stepping on it. Go ahead.
And has counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing, and has done despite unto the Spirit of grace. For we know him that has said, vengeance belongs unto me, I'll recompense, says the Adonai, and again the Adonai shall judge his people. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living El. But call to remembrance the former days, in which, after you were illuminated, you endured a great fight of afflictions, partly whilst you were made a gazing stock both by reproaches and afflictions, and partly whilst you became companion of them that were so used. For you had compassion of me in my bonds, and took joyfully the spoiling of your goods, knowing in yourselves that you have in heaven a better and an unenduring substance.
Do we believe that? Go ahead.
Cast not away therefore your confidence, which has great recompense of reward. For you have need of patience, that after you have done the will of Elohim, you might receive the promise.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 4. Second Kings chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 17.
Now they cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, your servant, my husband, is dead. And you knoweth that your servant did fear Yahweh. And the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, what shall I do for you? Tell me, what have you in the house? And she said, your handmaid has not anything in the house save a pot of oil. Then he said, go, borrow you vessels abroad of all your neighbors, even empty vessels, borrow not a few.
Now, there comes a time when you have gotten in a situation, and when we seek help, we have to be in a position to receive that help. And sometimes we want only the kind of help that we believe will be fruitful. It's like the brother that was told, go dip yourself into Jordan 7 times. Man, come on, man. I got you. Surely you can do better than that. This is what you want me to do? That means we've already decided what we think is going to work. So not only do we want the help of Elohim, we want the help the way we want it. Send me the help with a blue hat on and a red shirt. You're going to ask for help, and then you're going to tell him how to deliver it. And we don't see the arrogance in that. Go ahead.
And when you are come in, you shall shut the door upon you and upon your sons, and shall pour out into all those vessels, and you shall set aside that which is full.
Now, to somebody else, now wait a minute, now this sounds stupid. Now I done told you I got this little bit. But now you're going to tell me to go borrow vessels for oil that I don't have. Go ahead.
So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There's not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of Elohim, and he said, Go sell the oil and pay your debt, and live you and your children of the rest.
Go sell the oil, pay your debt, and live you and your children of the rest. When Yahweh give you something, you still got to work for it. He gave Israel the land. He said, This is your land. All right. Now gird on your weapons and go get it. It's yours. Now, I done gave it to you. Your name. You see that house over there on that hill? That's yours right there. Never mind them people living. Don't worry, but don't even focus on the people in the window. Throw that out your mind. That's your house right there. But get what? You still got to go get it. Yeah, I gave it to you, but I ain't going to give it to you. But it's yours, though. He told Dawid, You are anointed king. Now run. Because the king now trying to kill you. I'm talking, you got to run faster than that. He gave it to him. But he didn't give it to him. You say you won't. He going to give it to you. But he ain't going to give it to you. You going to clock in. But see, we want to receive, but we won't clock in. Go ahead.
And it fell on a day that Elisha passed the Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as often as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of Elohim, which passes by us continually.
Right. I perceive that this is a holy man. I've been watching how he moved. That's a holy man. Go ahead.
Let us make a little chamber, I pray you, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed and a table and a stool and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he comes to us, that he shall turn in thither.
Right. Let us make, this man is traveling back and forth to do this. Let's provide a place that the holy man can rest. Now, remember the things that Yahshua said. You remember I was hungry and I was tired and you did these things for me? He said, when I did them things, I ain't never seen you hungry. I ain't never seen you tired. Yeah. You remember that stuff that you did for that holy man who was just going back and forth, taking care of my business, and you took it upon yourself to do that for him? You did that for me. Go ahead.
And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, you have been careful for us with all this care. What is it to be done for you? Would you be spoken for to the king or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she has no child, and her husband is old.
Now, this is something that they perceive, not something that she asked for. Go ahead.
And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, you shall embrace a son. And she said, No, my master, you man of Elohim, do not lie unto your handmaid.
So what does that mean? She has stopped even praying about it. She's done with that. Says she has no child, and her husband an old man. that it's probably not going to be any kids coming out of here. She stopped asking. So she didn't go to him so that she can get a child. She went to take care of Elohim's business. And Elohim is now taking care of her business that she done forgot about. Business that she hadn't had in so long, she stopped even thinking that she could have it. Go ahead.
And the woman conceived and bare a son at that season that Elisha had set unto her, according to the time of life.
All right. So these are things that we have to consider, especially as we go to make our appearance before our Elohim and make our supplications unto our Elohim. Are we prepared to receive the things that we ask for? Because we ask for certain things, right? But we don't know how he gonna get those to us. You know, I got to the point where I was trying to get this work from home job. Yeah, I was like, I can make you stay home. Oh, he did it. He did it. You know, you go through so much that you forgot. You know what I did ask for this? So I asked for some things. He said, all right, coming up, son. What is that? Hit you with that COVID. No. I said I wanted to be home. That's why I gave you COVID. You at the house, ain't you? Yeah, but I'm about to die in here. Don't worry, I got you. Had to learn how to walk again. Still to this day, breathing in strange situations. You know, after you done been on the ventilator for 30 days, folk die. And 9 days is the average time on the ventilator. After you on 9 days, you out of here. 30 days. They said, man, how you still living? You have to ask Yahweh for that. I don't have those kind of answers. But see, Yahweh know how to do something to the point where he says, when ways are pleasing unto him, he find that even he makes your enemies even at peace with you. Understand? Gentiles start making sure that I was paid. I ain't been in the office in months. A check never stopped coming. A check was coming like I was there. I wasn't there. To them very ones say, you know what? Go ahead and let him have that desk job. Yahweh like, bing, blessing, pick up. Remember that thing you asked me for? That is. I mean, I didn't tell you I was going to have to kill you damn near to give it to you, but you got it. You got it. Now breathe in that thing. Breathe in that thing. You about to choke. Breathe in that thing. You got it. Is this not what you asked for? All right. You got it. Now, you finna go out there and you finna get on your knees and you about to make supplication unto your Elohim. Remember your family, remember your spouses, all of that. But also, be careful, because thou might receive what thou askest for. And you don't know how he gonna do it. I didn't say, Yahweh, give me COVID. Yahweh, put me on dialysis. Yahweh, put a feeding tube in my stomach. Yahweh, just poke me with all these things. I didn't say, but it had to be believable to them people. So they said, you know what? All right, we'll go ahead and let him do that. How else can it be believable to them? It's got to be believable to you. That means I can't tell you what I'm about to do. Because if I tell you what I'm going to do, you're going to have a smirk on your face. Yeah, I'm about to be sick, but you know what I'm saying? I'll be back. See, that's how we mess up. It's like, I can't tell you. but I got you. But you asked for it. Remember now, the children of Israel asked for a king. Yahweh said, you ain't ready for a king now. You ain't ready for no king. All right, now I'm going to tell you what kind of king you're going to get. We still wanted the king. Did he not give it to us? Okay. So when you get on your knees as we make our appearance before our Elohim, be very careful. Because you might get it. Now, are you ready for that which you asked for? All right, we set up? We ready outside?
Yes.
All right. So it is, make sure this is right. We got 11:09, 11:15. We're making our appearance. So for all those who are on line, get ready. As we go outside, we're gonna face the east. We are gonna make our supplications for our families and make an appearance unto Yahweh our Elohim, as it is written. As we make our appearance, no man shall come empty. I don't care if it's a penny. You make sure you have a offering. For those who on the internet, put it through any kind of way. You do not make an appearance before Yahweh and show up empty. All right. That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Shabbat Shalom. 5 minutes, 11:15. All right.
Shabbat Shalom.